we can't put the state before the family. I choose to believe, as a mother of 3 children myself, that most families, regardless of their religious or moral views or political views, the vast majority of families love their children, will accept their children no matter what decisions they make. And I think that it's very, very dangerous to the family unit and to Canada, to society as a whole, when we're buying into this narrative where ultra left-wing pushback on this issue is painting the family unit to be evil or be dangerous for children. I don't think that's a healthy way to raise our children.
Alexa Lavoie for Ribbon News here in Ottawa, covering the Canada Strong and Free Network Conference. Various speakers are addressing diverse topics, such as parental rights, internet regulation, immigration, carbon technology, and more. Currently, a major concern for families is the indoctrination of children and gender ideologies, which was the main topic discussed during the Parental Rights panel this morning. Lindsey Wilson from Alberta Proud moderated the discussion. Lindsey, the president and spokesperson of Alberta Proud, a grassroots pro-energy advocacy group in the province, shared her perspective on the children issues prevalent in today's society.
Will you do your best to ensure that trans women are put in prison or prison more appropriate to their gender identity?
The answer is yes. I will ensure that.
My name is Lindsey Wilson, and I run an organization called Alberta Proud, and we're an energy advocacy group. We stand up to elitist and hypocritical politicians and celebrities who block and barricade our pipelines and therefore our prosperity.
So today you are at the Canada Strong and Free Network conference, and you took part of the panel about the parental rights. Can you talk a little bit? What is the parental rights today in Canada?
Yeah, it's a really hot button topic, and that we're seeing it pop up all across the country. So it started out in New Brunswick with bringing forward legislation that's saying, hey, if kids want to change their pronouns, if they want to be known as a different gender, et cetera, in school, parents have the right to know. So it started there. Saskatchewan Premier Mo has done something similar. And again, we have that in my province in Alberta with Premier Danielle Smith, who came under a lot of fire.
Making permanent and irreversible decisions regarding one's biological sex while still a youth can severely limit that child's choices in the future. Prematurely encouraging or enabling children to alter their very biology or natural growth, no matter how well-intentioned and sincere, poses a risk to that child's future that I, as Premier, am not comfortable with permitting in our province.
From my perception, I think that she brought forward very compassionate proposed legislation, and she extended it to addressing women's sports as well as medical procedures for children that are not of the age of majority. And so you're seeing rapid fire in the potential, like primarily in the legacy media, you're seeing rapid fire on this and trying to, I guess, paint this that this is an infringement on the rights of children. And so there's this big culture war argument over protecting children, outing children who may not identify as typical or identify as a different gender and that sort of thing. So it's definitely a political wedge, unfortunately, and I think children pay the ultimate price for that, and families do.
How do you see things like, if you are talking about this issue on children, you are labeled as far rights right away? How you see things like that?
Yeah, I think it's really unfair, and I think as conservatives, we need to stop being on the defense constantly. We need to just be kind. We need to understand when we have really impassioned people speaking about these sorts of things. Like, it's a difficult thing. If you're a 14-year-old or 15-year-old child going through, personal sexual choices, identity choices, or gender choices, like that's you're pulled in one direction or another. You've got media, you've got influence, your parents, well, you want them to accept you. There's just so much, it's just such a roller coaster being a teenager. But I think we have to just bring it back to common sense. We have to be gentle with our language. We have to bring everybody to the table and listen to them. But really, at the end of the day, what this comes down to is we can't put the state before the family. I choose to believe, as a mother of 3 children myself, that most families, regardless of their religious or moral views or political views, the vast majority of families love their children, will accept their children no matter what decisions they make. And I think that it's very, very dangerous to the family unit and to Canada, to society as a whole, when we're buying into this narrative where ultra left-wing pushback on this issue is painting the family unit to be evil or be dangerous for children. I don't think that's a healthy way to raise our children.
Talking about political side as far left or far right or left and right, this education system is now having a lot of point of view on the political side. How do you see now the education system for children?
I think we have a really big range, and it really differs from province to province. So as a parent and a resident and an advocate living and working and raising my children in Alberta, I can only really speak to Alberta. You definitely see a range from public to Catholic to charter, homeschooling, the private school system. You're definitely seeing a range, but I like to think that there's really good organizations out there. One that comes to mind are my friends who work and advocate with the Alberta Parents Union and Jeff Park, and they're out there giving parents a voice, and I think that's really important. There's a lot of power behind the unions, and there's certainly a lot of power behind groups like the Alberta Teachers Association, and I think we just need to have balance. All parents deserve to have a voice. Children belong to be they deserve to have their voice heard and in the classroom, and a teacher's opinions and thoughts should not outweigh what the family who's responsible for that child mean.
Well, I'd like to say, first of all, there's no such thing as parental rights. In Canada, there are parental responsibilities. And in Canadian family law, the primary responsibility of parents is to support and affirm their kids.
The NDP MP Randall Garrison have said that there is no such thing as parental rights in Canada. What do you make of this?
Well, I think it is largely up for interpretation. It's not as cut and dry as it is in U.S. law, and I think that's where some of this confusion and all these Supreme Court cases are kind of coming from. So I think we just need to bring it back to the middle. We need to stop having these extreme arguments on either extremes of the political spectrum and bring it back to common sense. Hey guys, we know there are absolutely transgendered people out there. There's transgender children. They need our love. They need our support. There's a compassionate way to do this. Let's guide them and support them and have those supports in place. But let's be real here. Children are children. If you can't drive a car before 16, if you can't vote before 18 or 19, if you can't buy alcohol in a bar until 18 or 19, depending what province you're in, making these really big life-altering decisions or taking hormone therapy or those kind of things when you're at a very young age, before you're even nearly those ages, shouldn't we just be a little bit careful on how we go about doing that? That's okay. That doesn't mean we're opposed to these children or we're opposed to anybody's personal choice in their sexuality. It just means that we're protecting them to make sure that they're on the right path and that they're making these decisions as they are still maturing and growing and going through puberty and those sorts of things themselves.
Go over rebelfieldreport.com to support and encourage our independent journalism, and you can donate what you can, so every donation counts. So please go over rebelfieldreport.com.